Finally! 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 Oh, I waited decades to turn this into this. That makes me happier than Anthony Hopkins' pit dance.
Crazy dancing making my penis soft.
So I luckily came across this software called Deep Remix, and what it does is it takes a single audio file, lets you go in there, pull out all the instruments, apply changes to them, manipulate them any way you want, save those changes, and then put them back into one file. Just to give you an example of just how impossible this has been up until now, it's like me baking a cake, then after I bake the cake go, oh, you know what? I needed to put salt on those eggs. Reaching into that baked cake, pulling out the eggs, putting salt on there, then putting it back in there.
It's not gonna work!
Let's talk about the practical applications of this software. This one's my favorite. I'm gonna have the most fun doing this. Let's say you have an old recording from your high school band. You don't like the way it sounds, the guitars are not loud enough. That seems to be a common problem with guitars. You wanna go back in there and raise the guitars, which you can do. Now, Hit Mix Limited, the company, does not condone you using this on copyrighted material, and you shouldn't, like I'm about to do here in a second. Let me deal with the consequences. I have a terrible ear when it comes to learning music. Right now, I'm doing a collab with Angelin. We're doing Brutality, and the production's not that great on it, so some parts of it I can't really figure out. I put it into the software, I pulled the guitars out, and then I started learning it that way on the parts that I couldn't really hear too well. Makes things a whole lot easier and speeds up the process. You may have seen recently on some of my shorts, I've been taking out some of the guitars of famous bands and putting in my own, like I did here with Exodus. There isn't an ounce of the original guitars left over. That's just the bass and drums and my two guitars with it. So far, I found two ways you can get really creative with it. Check this one out. How many of you out there know Malevolent Creation's Stillborn album? It's a good album, but it sounds horrible, clipping all over the place. And part of the reason is that's in 1993 when they first started getting into this whole digital recording. They didn't know what they were doing. So I took out all the instruments, declipped them individually, put them all back together, declipped it again, and it sounds really good. Check this out. So I'm not going to go into all the under the hood stuff because, to be honest, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just throw a file in there and it asks you what instruments you want to take out, and then once you get it in there, on the right-hand side it shows a list of those instruments color-coded, and then it shows the corresponding waveform, or not really waveform, it's like a spectrogram with a corresponding color, and then you can mute them, solo them, you can change the bass, treble, mid-range, all that stuff. But I will say this video has pretty much been just Deep Remix, but there is Deep Audio as well, which is a like super hyped up version of Deep Remix. Now I do recommend that because it gives you far more access to some surgical tools, like if there's some snare bleed into a kick drum, you can remove that and separate them in different layers. It gets really surgical. You can really get creative with changing the note values, the tempo, the pitch. You can do a whole bunch of stuff there that just, Deep Remix really can't do. And for this channel, I plan on taking this software and I've got a bunch of albums that I think need remixing. I'm going to do all of those. I'll put up the whole albums on here.
Vicious little weasel.
Let me know if you decide to download it. Just go over there, have a lot of fun with it, play around with it. There's a free trial. I can't stop playing with it. Good thing this is related to my channel. If you got any ideas for me on how you want me to use this software, let me know. And see you next time.